Hi, so nice to have you today again. I'm so delighted. In case this is your first time here, I celebrate you and I welcome you to this beautiful family. I am Gloria Onoja and I'm a mother of four, and I also do many other things. I'm a pastor, evangelist, I'm an entrepreneur, a pastor's wife, and I do so many things that you do to keep body and soul together, and especially lives, and fulfill the purpose for which I'm here on earth. And my meeting you today is so special to me. Thank you for coming on board. In case you've not subscribed, I encourage you to go ahead and hit on the subscribe button, like, turn on the notification, and get notified each time I post a new video. I bet you everything we do on this channel is a win-win thing, and I cannot be here if you are not there. I celebrate you greatly. Thank you so much for coming on board. So we've been running a series on parenting God's way, and we understand that we're in a time when parenting is becoming a very tough work to do. Yes, of course, we know that it has been a tough work from the onset. There's getting more and more tedious, more and more difficult for us to raise godly children, responsible, sensible children who will live to bring glory to God and to the home front. So we've been running so many series on it, and we have been the past few weeks talking about the love language of children, how we can understand their love language in order to make sure that we get the best of them and all that. I promised us last week that we're going to do the final phase today, and that phase is how to use love language to instill discipline to your children. And for me, it's more like discipline hack. Oh yes, it's more of a discipline hack, because disciplining children is becoming a very tough work these days, because we have so many models of how to raise children, and most of these models are not good at all. I'm telling you the truth. They are not good at all because of the standards they try to uphold, or the things, the value system they propagate in those standards are not values of the kingdom. They are not values that will endure if we're seeking to raise godly children, and children who will bring glory and praise to the name of God. So today I'm talking about love language and discipline, and how love language can help you better instill discipline to your children, and you make the most out of your moment. I said before that the reason we are losing grip of our children in the area of discipline and raising children the way we desire or would love them to be, with good behavior and conduct, is because of the emptiness in their love tank. When a child's love tank is empty, that child tends to misbehave, and those misbehaviors owe or point to one thing: they are trying to tell you that they need you to love them. And unless you understand the primary love language of your child, you may not be able to feel that emptiness in their lives. And once you understand that and you begin to feel those emptiness in their lives, you begin to get the best of them. So any child whose love tank is not empty, and once you speak to that aspect of the child, you get the best of the child, and then discipline is made easy. But the problem we have is that most of us tend to parent our children, or to raise our children the way our parents raised us. I like to say that times are changing, seasons are changing, and the parenting models that were used in those days to raise you and your siblings cannot be the same with what is obtained in this time we're in. So what is necessary or needed for us to do is that there is need for an improvement in the parenting models of your parents. So in as much as it is good, in as much as it's perfect, it's okay, it worked for them, you don't expect or think that it will work 100% for you, because of the species of children we're raising in this time, and because of the advancement in technology. I can remember that in those days, your parents could tell you, when you're doing wrong and they want to give you punishment, they will send you to a friend's house far away, and they'll tell you to go there and tell you that your friend to give you there's a name we call the chair, a form of chair in our place, which never exists actually. They'll tell you to tell that their friend to give you the widest chair to bring for him. And we will go there, and that's your friend, understanding what you're trying to do, will send that child to another place and tell you, say, oh, I forgot that chair in so place. Somebody came to pick it. Please go there and tell the person I said. And do you know that they will keep sending you round and round and round and round until maybe the last person who want to have pity on you will ask you, where was the first place they sent you to? And by the time you finish narrating the places they sent you to, the person will now tell you that, oh, go home and tell your parents that I have sent the chair to them already. And by the time you get home, your parents would have that chair in their house. It was a form of discipline, that they try to use as psychology, the psychology of the children to instill. But we are in a time and season that have gone way past that you can't use same model to raise children in this time. Your child will ask you, what form of chair is that? And besides, we're living in a time where insecurity is so paramount, it's so evident everywhere that you wouldn't want to expose your children in the night or even in the day, sending them from one place to the other and losing them at the end of the day because you try to instill discipline. So the model that is best, which we should use now, is understanding your child's love language. What is the primary love language of your child? Is that child's primary love language words of affirmation? You discover that when you lash out on that child by shouting or raising your voice, you discover that it's going to go a long way to make more impact than using another way altogether. When your child's love language, for instance, is physical touch, and you decide to refrain from physical touch to prove to the child that you're not happy with that child will come around, try everything best possible, apologize, and it will hit them so hard that they will want to keep away from anything that will keep you away from hugging them, keep you away from cuddling them, keep you away from having that quality contact with them. If your child's love language is something like quality time, you discover that child will not want to do anything that will take away that time you spend together. Maybe it could be a stroll, maybe it could be that you spend time gisting and talking together. That child will want to do everything best possible to make sure that you don't take that precious time away from them. So when you understand the love language of your child, you'll be able to use it appropriately. And that's why it is very important for you to understand how this love language works, and for you to be able to know when to bring it in to instill discipline. Dr. Chapman, who is the author of the 5 love languages, insists that kids need to receive love in all of the 5 languages. And I am also of the opinion that in as much as you give these children love in all of the 5 love languages, you have the responsibility to know a child's peculiar love language. Knowing the child's peculiar love language will help you to form bond with that child. It will help you, to form, the closeness, the understanding, the ground on which you will be able to relate and deal with the child as an individual. And by so doing, you'll be able to wave off all forms of misbehaviors. Why? Because you have come to understand that child's love language and you're using it in a way best possible as a best practice to instill discipline, and you have the best of your child. There's one problem we parents have, and it's a big problem for me. I've discovered it's a big problem. My kids are still young. My first is not up to 12 years, almost 12 years. But then I got to understand that what we parents do most of the times is to use a one-size-fits-all model or approach of discipline to our children. And this is something like what our parents used on us. Most of our parents used on us. You don't use a one-size-fits-all approach in discipline or in loving your children. Just like I always say that our temperaments are different. That's how the temperaments of your children are different. And that's how their response to love are different. So it is very important you understand what the five love language the five love language is basically, in order to also streamline down to knowing which is the primary love language for that child of yours. And when you know the primary love language of that child, you use a tailored mode of discipline, a tailored mode of connecting with that child. And when you use a tailored mode, a specific way of approaching that child, of disciplining that child, of speaking to the love language of that child, you discover that you get the best out of them. So it is wrong. For me, I like to say it's a no-no. Yes, I stand to be corrected because I'm still in this business of learning or raising children and trusting God to help me to do the best I can, but I'm investing so much time, praying, energy, paying attention to really understand what the love language of my children are, each of them. I have 5 of them directly under me. 1 is my adopted child, and the other 4 are biological. But you know that each of them, I am making out time. I'm trying as much as possible, praying, raising them up before God individually and studying them individually, using the 5 love languages on all of them and watching out to see which is most effective for which child. And knowing the one that is most effective for each child, I pick it and I begin to relate with the child based on my understanding of what that child's primary love language is. So stop using a one-size-fits-all approach to treat your children or to raise your children. It doesn't work that way. So you remember that all you're trying to do is to connect with the child and to guide the child to bring out the very best that is hidden on the inside of that child. So you must use a tailored mode, a specific mode that is suited to the character and the personality of that child in order to bring out the very best and nothing but the very best out of the child. So when you take into account that each child came into the world with a heart and a mind of their own, separate from that of the siblings and every other person in the world, you'll be able to know how to instill discipline and to nurture the child. So you'll be able to know how to explore, to connect most effectively with the child and also raise them as separate entities and not just as everybody. It has to be a separate, raised as separate entities, knowing them individually. At this point, I will not fail to remind you that love becomes effective when you learn to connect personally with your child. Accept the totality of who they are and nurture to bring out the best in them. When you understand these basic 3 ingredients in them, love will become effective and discipline will even become more effective. So you need to understand that you need to know this child, accept the totality of who the child is, and do what? You have the responsibility to nurture the child to become who they have been wired to be. So I'd like to leave us with an assignment. And that assignment is develop the time, make out time out of your busy schedules, make up your mind to prayerfully begin to learn your children's love language. Also begin to see how to connect personally with them. Some children's behavior, are align with some of your children's temperament align with your own kind of temperament, or even your own kind of love language, and then it seems as if it flows more. But this other child does not align, and you have the responsibility to learn that child's love language and to use it in a very effective way. And another thing I would like to leave us with is a question. Have you in the first place understood your own love language? Do you know what love language is all about? Have you come to know and understand your child's love language? Have you begun to use them? And how are they yielding? I'd like to know in the comment section below. Please, I want us to interact, and I desire to read your comments, know your thoughts, and if there are areas of improvement you think I need to do or talk about, please leave it in the comment section below. Remember to keep your comments polite and not ambiguous so that we can connect.